So, in my Christianity as a Christian, there was a point where I started to become a Christian that I did not like. I started to become a Christian who was, and I think everybody knows this type of Christian, who's just so spiritual that they lose touch with reality. How can you become too spiritual, Crystal? What are you talking about? Everybody should try to be closer to Jesus. Yes. But when you're so spiritual to the point where everything that you can't even have normal conversations with people because they're just looking at you like you got two heads because everything is Christianese and you don't know how to relate and just talk to somebody like they're normal because they are normal, and using these words that it's like everything doesn't have to be a proverb. Talk to people like they're normal. Everything doesn't have to be a super spiritual thing. Like, you can just let somebody know that you're sorry for their loss. It doesn't have to be, but God and my past. Like, I don't know how to put into words what I'm trying to say, but I think if you know somebody like that, you know what I'm trying to say. Everything does not have to be super spiritual, and everything does not have to be my pastor said. You can just open yourself. And that was another thing. The church I was going to, I think I started to become that way because the church I was going to, everybody was perfect. Everything was perfect. Everything was, well, pastor said. And it was just like a real, just sterile. It was like nobody was. If you're going to talk about Jesus, be real, be authentic, be who you are. Like, the people that changed my life in Christ were the drug addicts that told me they were drug addicts and how Jesus changed their life. The Christians that try to portray this perfect image, that's not doing anything for anybody. That's just the culture of that church, trying to be perfect. But yeah, it's like the people that really affected my life as a Christian were the reformed drug addicts that, told me about how Jesus changed their life and continued to change their life, and how, they taught me about how to do street evangelism. And that is like what I love. Going to the street, telling people about Jesus. It's just like, don't try to be so perfect that you forget that Jesus was here for the sick. What we think Christianity should look like what the world and what we think Christianity should look like. It's like, going to church every Sunday, waving your hands, praising the Lord, signing up for women's ministry, signing up to do this, signing up to do that. And it's like, being a Christian is so much more than that. Being a Christian is really, this one quote that I love is, show people Christ, show people Jesus, but when necessary, use his name. So if I'm showing you who Jesus is, then I shouldn't always have to, you should see it through my lifestyle and not through me always saying like Jesus is. I shouldn't have to use his name. I shouldn't have to say his name for you to understand that I'm a Christian and that's my lifestyle. It's so funny. It's like, I don't know if any other Christians remember, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of stepped away from like the mainstream of it all, because it's like, there was a moment in time where the whole Hillsong culture took place and everybody was literally even dressing the same as Christians. The beanies, the hoodies, the monotone colors, like everybody was sounding and looking the same. But it's like, no, Jesus has made us individuals and made us different. So we're not helping anybody by fitting or trying or feeling pressure to fit into these molds, I am loud. I am very urban vernacular with the way that I talk about Jesus. I talk with my hands. I'm just different. And it took me a while to understand that my personality as a Christian is, this is how I am as a Christian. Shout to the Lord. Like, that's not who I am as a Christian. And I try to fit in that perfect Christian lane, but that ain't me. That's not me as a Christian. So I say all this to say, don't be so spiritual as a Christian that you can't relate to people where they're at. Okay? Stop spitting out Psalms and what your pastor said and trying to sound, you're so focused on trying to be perfect or sound perfect that it's going over their heads and you're not touching them at all. Be realistic with your Christianity. Be realistic. Don't go around speaking all this Christianese and people don't understand what you're talking about. Like, be real with your Christianity. You don't have to be perfect. So let go of that perfect persona that you're trying to hold on to.